Hey amigos, I'm Ignacio Lopez and this is Comedy Ship's Side Gig. This week I'm chatting with Jess Davies. She is a journalist, an author, an activist, and an all-round fun guest. Let's do it. Right, the first question I ask people on this is, who the fuck are you and what do you do?
Well, that's a big question to start off with. I'm Jess Davies and I do a lot of random things in this world. I do presenting, some documentaries, radio, and I'm also a writer. Recently wrote my first book and a content creator. So
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
If you had to describe what you did to a 5-year-old, what would you say?
I would say probably like them fake jobs that you see kids do like in TV shows. That's what I do.
My niece thinks that all like audio visual work, television, everything, she thinks that's all YouTube. Like she just assumes, if you trying to explain television to her, she's like, YouTube. And I'm like, no, there's other stuff outside of YouTube, you know?
Like this box that people like use a remote to watch.
People
Weird.
used to crowd around to watch it, you know? They didn't used to watch it on tablets on buses and stuff. Jess, you've recently written a book. That's very exciting. Is it your first book?
It is my first book, yeah.
What's the title of the book?
The title is No One Wants to See Your Dick.
Right. When I saw the title for this, you know, I think that's great news that some people need to hear.
A lot of people need to hear.
Yeah. I thought it was a specific slam on me and my Dick Van Dyke impression. So I had to read through the book a little bit more to realize, oh no, wait, it's about sexual harassment and stuff.
Yeah, it's not about you. Maybe. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is.
No, fortunately, I have never taken or sent a dick pic, and I'm happy for that to go on the record. So what was the inspiration for the book? What made you sort of dive in and write this book?
I guess because it was something that I'd experienced quite a lot. I mean, unsolicited dick pics to start, but just online misogyny. So whether that's like having really sexual messages online, comments online, my images being shared without consent when I was younger. And I'd done a lot of research into stuff like deep fake abuse because I've done a few documentaries with BBC Three that I presented. So it was kind of like, unfortunately, just a world that I've been in since I was a teenager.
Sure.
And then from the work I used to do, so I used to do glamour modeling in another life back when I was 18 to about 23.
What was that, 3 months ago?
Yeah, about that. I mean, they've been closed for 10 years, so that's how long ago it is. And, you know, I met a few friends, like quite a few good friends, one of my best friends doing that as well. And so it wasn't only something that I'd experienced, but something that they'd experienced. So when we talk about it in our little glamour world bubble, I just assumed everyone knew about this world of like, you know, images being shared in forums without consent and like all that kind of stuff. And then I talked to people like in the outside world and they were like, what's a dick pic? Like, what do you mean cyber flashing? Like, what's deep fake? So that's why I was like, right, I just want to write a book about it, put it all down and give it as, I guess, like a handbook for people to be able to like get up to date with this world and what it's all about.
Just navigating. It's you know, it's something, it tailors all the time sexual harassment, but just how it's kind of implemented itself through technology and how it's moved across in that way.
Yeah.
I do. So we're mutual friends, Leroy Brito.
Yes.
Leroy had a bit of material that he used to do a while ago about dick pics. And you could look out into the crowd and see the reaction. And some people like leaning over to whisper and explain what a dick pic is to someone else. Like, it's surprising how many people don't know what it is.
I know, which is wild because I think I also don't know any woman who's never been sent one.
Sure.
So I'm like, one of you's lying and I don't know.
I'm not saying it's generational, but you could tell it was the people who don't necessarily own a smartphone or
You'd
have
be
access
surprised
to their
how many
email.
old men sticks I've seen.
Oh no, I appreciate men are. Men will find any way, shape or form it's the modern flashing, isn't it?
Yeah. They're taking it with like, you know, the disposable cameras back in the day, going to the shop, getting it printed out.
Walking up the boots, I mean, like, you develop these pretty fast actually.
I need to send it.
Yeah, I got a second class stamp. I want to get it out as quickly as possible. What did you? So when you graduated, when you came out of school, what did you go in? Did you go straight into glamour modeling, or how did it work?
I did, yeah, which is pretty crazy to think back now because I think like that's so young.
Yeah.
But I was 18, so I graduated. Well, finished school, sixth form, and moved to Cardiff. So I grew up in Aberystwyth, West Wales.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. When I got
Peer pressure.
I was gonna say great comedy festival there. Peer pressure. Yoko's is where I usually would go. But yeah, so I grew up there. So I moved to Cardiff for uni. And I kind of just came to Cardiff because it was closer to London. It wasn't because I really wanted to go to uni. I just needed the maintenance grant to move out. Yeah. And then I was like, I want to be a model. Like, this is what I want to do. So I applied to a few agencies in London and they all kind of came back and were like, you should try glamour modeling because I was just well endowed from a
Okay.
very young age and not very tall. So I don't know where I got the delusion that I was going to be a catwalk model from, but so that's what I did. And I got signed quite quickly and went straight into glam modeling at age 18, which is, pretty crazy.
Is glamour modeling, is it quite a jet set lifestyle? Are you kind of traveling around a lot for that?
Ish, yeah. I mean, if you count London as jet setting, it was
Okay.
when I grew up in Aberystwyth. But I did travel quite a lot, actually. Like, I went to America for the first time doing the modelling, which is cool, and a couple other places. But
Which part in the States did you go to?
Well, the first time I went there, we went to Salt Lake City and Utah, and it was with a calendar that we were shooting that was raising funds for veterans. So it was kind of like very army based. So we went to an army camp, which we had access to, and we drove tanks and shot machine guns and bikinis and stuff, which is very, very cool. But someone complained because we were in Salt Lake City doing it, and it made CBS News. It got 1 million hits on YouTube, and like the people got sacked from the army for letting us on base.
What?
Yeah,
Oh
but
my
we
God.
raised a lot of money, so
Sure. I mean, and now they're veterans, so they could use that money.
Yeah, they
they've
need the
lost
money.
their jobs. Yeah. It's a cyclical kind of thing.
Exactly.
That's very exciting. I mean, London is it can be quite a seedy place as well, I reckon. Like for comedy, when I started out, it was where I first gigged in England. You jump on the megabus, you go to London to perform 5 minutes above a pub, and you think it's all, I mean, I don't know if it's the same for modeling and stuff, but you assume it's going to be like showbiz. You think it's going to be super, glamorous and exciting, and you rock up and it's like, no, the green room is next to the toilet. You go up some stairs and that the stage is next to the bar,
Yeah, I mean, the megabus, I was on that very often because I was a student, right, as well at the same time. So it's like I had no money. So I was like getting up at the crack of dawn, 5 a.m., getting the megabus to London. I remember one shoot I did was for Front magazine. Do you remember Front? It was kind of like more like the alternative, edgier magazine.
Okay.
So the shoots were cool, but the location I remember we went to, and this was for the front cover, so it was like a big deal. And it was a location that they'd hired, and it was like a proper dingy house. So there was like used nappies just rolled
Holy
up and
crap.
like left around the house. And then we were shooting in this bed, and it was like a teenage boy's bed, and there was crusty underwear in the bed.
It would have been super funny if there was copies of Front lying around.
There
that
probably
room as
was some. That's probably why they let us use it. But yeah, so definitely not all glamorous.
So from glamour modeling from school, what did you do in university, by the way?
I did sociology.
Okay. What, sociology, study of people then, is it?
Yeah,
Or
social
behaviours?
sciences. So kind of like, I feel like we're living in my sociology degree right now. They call it, you see people online like, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse degree. I'm like, more of you should go do that,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
this is literally what I feel like we're living through.
It makes me laugh when politicians kind of slate certain degrees, and they're always things that they're directly benefiting from. They're like, these Mickey Mouse degrees and stuff, and then, we're going to pull up this data now to reiterate my point or whatever. Or they slag off media studies. It's
Yeah.
like the person filming you putting on screen right now has done a media studies degree. Like,
I
give us a
know,
break.
it's crazy.
So from glamour modeling, how did you pivot into what you're doing now? All sorts of journalism and activism and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'd always kind of, because I started off doing the modeling alongside like Instagram and Twitter, that's how long ago it was, where it was just growing. So my profile kind of organically grew on these platforms alongside it. So I don't know social media without having thousands of followers. It's just what I knew. So I always had a platform. So I would share quite a lot around kind of like feminism stuff anyway, which people always thought was kind of ironic because obviously I did glam modeling, but I feel like it really made me, well, I did sociology as well, right? So I had like this, all these kind of thoughts and views about it, which I still do. And then where I really pivoted into the kind of like presenting stuff was, I think it was about in 2019, I had experienced catfishing for years since I started out modeling when I was 18, where people would steal my images.
Oh, right. I thought you meant like people were tricking you.
Yeah,
but
no,
people were
can't be
using your
tricked,
image.
can't be tricked. It was me. So people were stealing my images to catfish men.
Right.
Whether they're using it for money, whether they're using it for, just to chat to them, a bit of fun, I don't know. But we're talking like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of accounts over like the space of 10 years. And
how did you find out this was
because
happening?
people would message me being like, why aren't you replying to me on Plenty of Fish?
Why
or
did
like,
you turn up to the date or whatever?
yeah. And like people had sent money. This one guy, he had sent money for me to fly across the Atlantic to meet them. And they were like, where are you? Like, where's my money? I was like, babe, you're like 60 years old and I'm still a model. Like,
I've got some bad news.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
megabus days are behind me.
It's like the delusion, I think, like, cause obviously it's like they're also a victim.
Yeah.
But I'm like, But at what point are you 60 years old thinking you're talking to a 20-year-old and paying for them to fly across? Like, maybe you're not the victim in this situation. You know, so I would get people messaging me quite a lot, or these fake accounts of me would just follow me and outwardly, just obviously because they were stealing my images. So it was something I knew about. And then it was, I think about in 2019, 1 week, every single day, I had a different person message me about a different account. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, by then I wasn't really doing modeling anymore. So I just put like a post out online about it, being like, this is crazy. You know, these aren't me. Like, please report them. It's so tedious. And then the BBC reached out. And then we're just going to do like a short 5-minute piece about it. And then they pitched it as a documentary. And then I did a doc about it and investigating basically why I was being used as catfish bait. And I found like these awful forums where my images were being traded and sold. And that was when I really thought like, shit, like this is much bigger than I ever knew. And it wasn't just me, it was literally hundreds of thousands of other women that are being traded like this, like Pokemon cards basically. And that was kind of like really the start of my activism and presenting, where I was like, right, we need to do something about this.
It is fascinating that something so sort of, it seems kind of like a microcosm, something happening to just you, and then you realize the network of people it's reached. It would have been very funny if you turned up to the interview with the BBC, or you hadn't turned up to the interview with the BBC, you'd send somebody else.
It was just my catfish,
yeah. It's just like a 40-year-old like Filipino guy pretending to be you. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, in the documentary, I actually interviewed, it was during COVID, unfortunately, or else we would have gone over there, but interviewed this guy in Arizona who had been in a relationship online with me for like 3 months, you know, and what was wild was this person pretending to be me had like every single possible image you can imagine for every scenario, because they just saved it. And I was like a chronic oversharer online. I still am, really. So it would be like, hey babe, what you up to? And they'd be like, I'm just chilling on the sofa, or I'm just cooking dinner. Send me a photo. They had it ready to go. Like, it was crazy that they had built up this whole identity of me. So actually talking to someone who thought they were, you know, seeing me, and he actually found me through a Google image reverse search, because his mate was like, I think this is a bit too good to be true. Right. So they searched the images, and he was like, oh shit, yeah, that's
crazy. Do you know what I mean? A lot of money must have been changing hands over this stuff. Do you know what the biggest number was? Like, how?
No one ever really said to me. I mean, I was just on like the hundreds, and you know, it'd be things like, I need to pay my rent. Like, the catfishes always have a story, right? They'll always have this like sob story to be like, I've been kicked out of my family home. I can't afford to feed my baby. I can't afford to pay my rent. And this is why I say, when it comes down to like who's the victim, because it's like, if you're like a 50, 60-year-old man and you think you're talking to like a teenage girl or a young girl in her 20s who's been made homeless, or like, you know, who can't afford to pay her rent and stuff, and then you think just sending her 100 quid and getting a tip pick back is like basically you doing a good deed. Like, I don't think you're the victim here out of all of that.
Yeah, it is exploitation the word. Yeah, sure. So from that, did that kind of kickstart, obviously you'd done sociology, but your fascination with looking into this stuff and sort of the journalistic side of it, investigating almost.
Yeah, so I'd been kind of doing my own like investigations just to kind of track down my own images that had been shared in these forums and stuff, and my friends, and understanding this world of what, you know, these days are called the manosphere, where all these forums are like trading girls' images out of consent, or making deep fakes of them, or just sharing awful stories about them. But that really made me think like, right, I want to speak out and use my platforms more, because I've, you know, was probably using them just to post like thirst traps most of the time, and then every now and then like dangling a little like, sign this petition about this thing. And I was like, right, I'm actually going to utilize this and like speak out, which is kind of crazy, because even today, like the majority of my followers on Instagram are still men, and I post a lot about like feminism and stuff now, and I think people assume that it's just all women, but like, because men originally followed me for like the modeling images, they just kind of stuck around, and I kind of love that, because you know, I think the way that men engage with like social media, especially straight men, is like they lurk. And they won't comment. Well, they'll comment publicly like, "Oh my god, nice tits," but like they won't comment publicly like, "Thank you so much for making me think about how I treat women." You know.
Well, they don't want to show any emotion, do they? Or like kind of, you know, anything constructive has happened in their life.
The only emotion they'll show publicly is like horny and angry. Yeah, in the DMs, I'll get men being like really earnest and being like, "Wow, thank you for posting about this kind of stuff. It's really made me think about like how I raise my daughter and my son, and how I treat women and dating and all that." So like, it's funny that you do have the men who I see, like I recognize their usernames. They used to comment on my images like 5-6 years ago, and now they're like really like resharing all my activism stuff, which I love. I think it's a really like weird, unique space that I've created.
It's certainly a positive shift, and it's kind of endearing. It's an endearing side of the industry and how you've reached people. And
Yeah, absolutely.
That platform, because I mean, most of the time it's negative shit, right? This kind of stories that come out of it.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by the glamour modeling kind of aspect as well. What was the worst day? I mean, that disastrous location you went to with crusty tissues and stuff is quite scary. But what was the worst day you had at the job?
The worst day, oh God. There's been, like there's like the good, the bad, and the crazy. I feel like that was like my modeling career. She had some really like glamorous, some bad. That was like, you think, what the hell went on? And the crazy would just be like, yeah, like them weird locations, but the shoots are cool and the people were cool. But I'd say the worst day is I got hired once through my, all this from my agent at the time, not my agent now. And it was, they call it a time for print. So you basically get hired to go shoot with a photographer, and then they try and sell the images to the magazines. So it's not specifically for a job, but you're getting paid, and then hopefully you'll get a bit of money. So I got hired to go to this job, and it was £300 cash back then. I was like, lovely. Went along. It was in this guy's like garage, and he was older again. I must have been about 19 at the time. He was definitely in his 40s, and he was giving me these outfits to wear, and I thought, okay, they were like, very kind of like dresses you'd get from like a market stall kind of vibe, like really thin, stretchy material, not very glamorous, not very nice.
Yeah, not very luxurious. Just
and I was like,
it's gonna catch fire if you rub against it. Something completely
basically. And there was like words of like, this is going to be for I think it was like Harley Davidson magazine or something. I googled it and I've never ever found like proof that this magazine even exists. So I don't know what I was there for. So I'm there, and he's taking my pictures, and I'm very new to the industry at the moment. And then so I all thought it's weird. But then he said to me, I want you to look really sad. Like, can you look really sad? Like, I thought this was going to be like a sexy shoot. And he was like, has anyone, like, think of someone, like anyone that that's died? And this is the guidance. And I like I said, I was 18. Like my nan had passed away about a year before. So I'm there thinking about my poor recently passed nan whilst wearing kind of like sexy, stretchy dresses, tears in my eyes. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm after. And I'm thinking, fuck is this shoot?
What is the readership of Harley Davidson magazine?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that was the shoot finishes. I'm like, this is weird as fuck. I got my cash and never saw one image. I've never to this day saw one image. They were never printed anywhere. I don't think this magazine existed. So I'm assuming it was just for this man's wank bank. And that was that. So yeah, I told my agent, I'm never shooting that man again. Told every single model I knew, like, do not shoot that man again.
Or he had like everything else of pictures wise of you already, and he needed images if anybody asked, what are you up to? Just crying about my dead man, catfishing,
It was so bizarre. Yeah.
That blows my mind. I mean, was there a motorcycle there? There is no way Harley Davidson magazine.
It was absolutely not. It was I don't even think it existed, that magazine. But so that's probably the weirdest. That's strangest.
What a peculiar kink as well. But also just own up to it as well,
Yeah.
Just be like, look, I'm doing a shoot. I need somebody to look upset in some trashy clothes.
It was so bizarre. And my friend, like one of my friends, did then actually go along and shoot with them again.
You warned them and they still went.
Yeah. And then they said that they should listen to me. Put it that way.
Did he do exactly the same thing with them?
I don't think he made them cry, but it's definitely weird. I think that was just for me. But it was definitely weird, and like a full length leather jacket situation going on, and it was like, again, but they didn't get the lie of the Harley Davidson magazine. I think they were just going and thinking, I'll just take 400 quid cash. But
okay.
Yeah, so
maybe he learned like over a length of time. It's like, I don't have to be so elaborate with my lies. And you just want to rock up to my garage for some money.
So yeah, that was probably the strangest.
Yeah. Oof. What was the best day on the job? You said you went to you went to Salt Lake City, which was quite cool. Did you have any other kind of exciting experiences with it? Oh
God, trying to think. I mean, yeah, that was definitely up there because it was like my first time in America. With that same job, we went to Vegas. So it was like Vegas for the first time, and it was called the SHOT Show. So we were just kind of like signing calendars, and then you had to go and like party in the evenings. So that was very cool, being paid to party. I mean, when I'd shoot for like Nuts and Zoo, it was always a pretty fun day. Like I remember shooting for Zoo magazine, and it was like this mansion, and it was a tennis court, so you'd get to see the really luxurious side of like how other people live, and then you go to like these dingy places as well where there's like dirty nappies on the floor. So yeah, it's very up and down.
I mean, that mansion you went to, that's now a Weatherspoon, so there might be dirty nappies there as well.
True.
Um, cool. Is there anybody that has kind of inspired you on the path you've taken and the work you're doing now? Is there somebody that kind of stands out as inspiration?
I don't know really, because I feel like it's such a random path that I've taken. You know, I've gone so up and down it, and I think it all has led to what I'm doing now. I mean, in terms of like documentaries and all that kind of stuff, obviously everyone says Stacey Dooley if you're a woman, or Louis Theroux. Like, I love that kind of style, and I'd love to do more of like the kind of like immersive doc stuff.
Okay.
But then I think it's funny because people always assume, right, because it's like, oh, you've got a political opinion and you post about online, that I'm like very deadly serious and like a really newsy person, which is the total opposite of what I am. And I always say it's so hilarious because back when I did the modelling, like everyone's like, you're a ditzy dumb blonde who can't have an opinion.
And got both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, and it's like back then I would have dreamt of like, please let someone think I'm too serious. Like, please let a commissioner tell me I can only do like news stuff.
The problem I have is everyone assumes I just want to be funny all the time and stuff. And I say, I'm actually really miserable, okay?
Yeah, so you're like, please. So I'd love to do more fun stuff, you know? So like, yeah, I'd love to like immerse like the Louis Theroux, Stacey Dooley's with some kind of like fun undercover stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know really who's inspired me. Like, I love Keely Hazel, who was one of the OG kind of like glamour girls, and she kind of left that industry and went against the grain. And the same with Lucy Pinder, like she was in that world and now she like uses her platform to speak out about activism and stuff. So yeah, I just love that, like, with that people are seeing the other sides of glamour girls and like women in these kind of industries, because I think it's so easy to just assume like everyone is dumb, and like
people think too dimensionally about a lot of stuff.
100%.
Like, I mean, especially, you know, with sort of having a Welsh mom, like I know like firsthand, anytime I gig in England and I say, oh, my mom's from Wales, they've got like two impressions in their head, you know, they kind of like make a sheep noise at you.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, all right, okay. Or they just assume like all Welsh, but like Gavin and Stacey.
I knew you were going to say, what's the other one? Sheep and Gavin and Stacey.
And I just moved to Barry now, so I can't even tell people in England that, because I get what's occurring all the time, you know, which is quite frustrating. Is there something that you find, what's the worst assumption people make when you meet them, or when they find out you've done glamour modeling and things?
People just assume then that like I can't have a valid opinion, like my opinion is just totally void. Yeah,
you voided it when you had those pictures taken,
like how dare you take sexy pictures of yourself, now you don't have a brain, you know? Like I would get that if sometimes I post on social media about like, you know, speaking up about like violence against women and girls, and men will be like, didn't you just get your tits out in nuts? And I'm like, yeah, and like, you know, I don't see how they kind of like correlate within each other. But I always get as well, like so often when people meet me, they're like, I thought you'd be a bitch, but you're actually really nice. Like, and that's something I've had since like my teenage years. And you know, my friends, if they introduce me to their friends, they'll always say, their friends will be like, oh, I really thought she'd be a bitch, but she's actually nice. And I'm like, why did you like assume that, you know?
It blows my mind. And also I hate like those kind of qualifier compliments, those backhanded compliments.
Oh, always,
it's like kind of, you know, I get it a lot. It's kind of like, you know, I didn't think Spanish people could be funny, you know. I had a sense of humor. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just these weird impressions people have. Or they assume I'm going to be arrogant, which is true. Like, that's fine, but that's not exclusive to Spanish people.
No,
either.
That's just me.
It just happens to be me, you know. Did you have a job before you graduated? Did you work while you were in uni or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, my first job was when I was 13. Like, I started young, so my first ever job was working like in a cafe doing waitressing.
Yeah.
And
at 13.
13. Yeah, I think it's probably child labor, to be honest.
I know a lot about this because so it turns out in the UK, family members, if it's a family business, you can work, I think it's from the age of 11 for your family, certain amount of hours, if you're like in the household, and like a family cafe or something like this, which does not explain why I was out working at 14 years of age in somebody else's business. You
Same,
know? So, What was the cafe? Do you remember the name?
Yeah, it was a garden centre cafe.
Okay.
Yeah. So serving a lot of old people, you know. And I remember we do like roast dinners, and I try and carry it over. And I remember once like bending down and just tipping a whole gravy boat down this guy's back, but he didn't notice. And I was looking at it like, oh no, and I was like, do I say something? Do I not? And I didn't. And then I just watched it the whole time. Like, that man's got gravy all down his back. But I was too scared to say anything. So that was my first job. And then I moved on.
He must have thought he had a horrible accident when he got home. He's
I
like,
know,
I didn't
he's
even
like,
realize.
what's going on?
I need to go to the doctor.
So that was when I was 13, getting £3 an hour. I mean, like, again, slave labor. And then I moved on to better things. I worked at Dorothy Perkins when I was 15.
Which one?
In Aberystwyth, and worked on specifically the footwear section. So I had to fit shoes for old people.
Did you have that contraption, like the shoe measurement thing, like where you slide it down?
Yeah, we had that, but it's more so like they'd always want to try some fun. They want, do you have any little pop socks to put on? I have to put like socks and old grannies and fit in their shoes. And again, I think I probably get paid like £5 an hour for that. And
it's a £2 bump. And
yeah,
you didn't
it
spill gravy
was
on anyone.
exactly. But I did have to deal with smelly feet. So I was working from early doors. So by the time the job I had just before I went to uni, I was in Boots. And I got paid like a decent wage, and I think probably like £7 an hour. And I was like, yeah, this is great. I've made it.
Which department in Boots?
Well, just on the tills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cashier. Because I did some temp work at Boots one year.
Nice.
Well over a decade ago now. Basically a comedy club, a chain. I will name them. We'll bleep it out. Fuck themselves. They went under. And they owed me like £4,000.
Oh wow!
So like I was fucked. I didn't have money for rent or anything. So Boots was one of the places hiring people Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely. Did you work there over Christmas?
Yes.
Batshit crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane because they do it's 2 for 3 or something.
Yeah.
And then you can mix and match anything. And I think Boots were the first people to do that.
Yeah.
And people just come in like, oh my god, just scooping shit off the shelves. I couldn't stack that shit quick enough.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working there though, and because you'd get like all the the discounts, and you see the fun stuff come in, and I remember at the time it'd be like the perfumes. If we get new ones in, if they had like a little bit left like that, you could pay like £3 and get it. And I thought this is amazing because I could get
I did not know that.
the like Coco Chanel perfume for like £3. But it'd be like everyone's used it. It's like a year old and it's got that. And I was like, please, at 18, like, oh look what I'm wearing.
It's kind of like the ingredients in it have separated. It's otherwise like different colors in the bottle. Boots. I'm just getting flashbacks to now, like the meal deal, scenario. People bursting in. Did you have when you were working as a cashier? I did do some cashier shifts.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I certainly wasn't allowed to do this. But if somebody didn't have a Boots card, I just scan my own and get their points.
Yeah,
I
didn't do that. No, I was legit on the Boots. I'd make them sign up for it.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the last thing you did work-wise? You've done a book tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you travel on the book tour?
Where did I go? I went to London a lot. I went to Oxford. Obviously Cardiff. I can't remember.
Have you done Hay Book Festival?
I didn't do Hay, no. Hopefully next year. But I just did Cheltenham Literature Festival. So that was my first literature festival, and it was really cool. I loved it.
Yeah.
Because I just get to go and talk about myself, my books. So it's great. So that was really cool. Yeah. So that was just last week, and then the paperback is coming out in February.
Great.
So then I'll be doing like the PR tour again. So hopefully I'll be able to catch some of the other tours, literature festivals as well.
Do people like with the book tour they queue up and you like sign the book and stuff after the Q&A session and
they
stuff?
do, but it's very humbling when you're a new author because as you'll know as a comedian, like traveling to all these places, you get in your car, you're driving 3 hours there, you don't know who's going to turn up, you go there and there might be like 8 people there.
Yeah.
You talk about your book, and my book's very like personal. It talks about my personal experience of misogyny. It talks about all this like very serious stuff, and then you think, was that enough for people? Did they want to buy it at the end? And then like maybe 2 people hang around and you're like, thank you so much. But I've never had so far like no one buy it, because I have seen the horror stories online where you just see someone like sat at their little desk and like they're like, oh, no one turned up to my event. Like that like that thought haunts me. But yeah, humbling to sit there and be like, anyone want this?
I did a comedy festival a couple of years ago, and it was the first so previously I've always sold like merchandise, t-shirts, postcards, bits and pieces. I sell them at gigs or whatever. If somebody wants to come over, say hi, potentially I'll plug it at the end of my show.
Yeah.
But I was doing this comedy festival. It was the first time a friend of mine who works in print and like does all marketing and stuff, he was like, man, I'm gonna hook you up with this merch stall. It's like folds up, you can pack it away nice and easy. It's like a table and it's got a stand on it with your name. And he said, and you can have merchandise. And we added like loads of extra merchandise. And the first date I did was at this comedy festival, and it was like 250 people I was performing to, and I set the merch stall up with like all the t-shirts on the table. We added an extra table with all of the extra things I had, CDs, everything, like baseball caps, and I was like, oh great, and I plugged it at the end, and I did the joke like I usually do at gigs, and I went and stood at this merch table, and I swear 250 people just walked straight past me, just like smiling the whole time. It was like, this isn't an elaborate joke, I'm genuinely trying to sell shit here. I felt like Del Boy or something, like wheeling out my things. So that those horror stories do happen.
Yeah, humbling. Humbling. All part of the story, though.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. That's like a chapter 8 situation, I think, with the dip, and then you need to pick it up again after it. When you were writing the book, how long did it take you, first of all?
It took me about a year.
Yeah.
But the first 4 months, I just spent, I say do nothing, researching, which I was, but I was so like, because it's my first book, I was like, how the fuck do you even start to write a book? Like, where'd you start? So I spent 4 months on this one chapter, like making it perfect. And then my publishers were like, hey, have you got anything to show us? And I was like, no. And then I thought, oh shit, I really got to hammer down. So it's probably like 6 months of like every day waking up and being like, I need to write this. But because of the topics of the book, like, you know, each chapter is about a different area of misogyny. So there's one about like catfishing and sextortion, one about deep fake abuse, one about like the world of OnlyFans and how, you know, there's OnlyFans management companies that are exploiting women and all of that. So like I was deep in the manosphere forums where you see like the worst shit possible, like, you know, and these awful men. So, you know, sometimes I would have to be like, I need to go and stand outside and breathe some fresh air and like look out at, like, I live in Penarth, so look out at the pier and be like, everything's fine, and everything's going to be absolutely fine, because you can get caught in like seeing it. And you know, it is a sense of people, I think this world's quite niche, and it's just like some weird old men in their basements, but like it's so vast. Like one folder that I saw of images of women in Glasgow, where it's their images being shared without consent, had over 1 million views, not just one folder. Like this is how like popular, in a sense, that this kind of world is, and how many, unfortunately, members.
So how do we get on these forums now?
How many members are in these forums? You know, so it's like a lot. So it does make you think like, fuck, like it was like doomsday in there. So like after writing the book, I did feel like I need to, you know, you kind of feel like you want to detach from that kind of world for a bit, but like you can't, because I'm a woman, and that world follows you around every day.
It's gonna make you a bit paranoid as well, because you're seeing like the amount of people sort of viewing this stuff or engaging with it, or, you know, almost like the dark web or something, just hidden out of clear sight. And then you have to go out and interact with you know, people all the time and think, are they doing that? Are they on this kind of platform?
Well, exactly. And I thought it would be the dark web, but this is like 4chan. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, or like Reddit. It would be, you know, and then there's a few other forums that are a bit further, but like I've never accessed the dark web in my life, and I've been on the worst fucking forums you can imagine. So it's like, you know, I thought it'd be really like down and out, but it's like very much on the fringes of mainstream. And I think that's what's scary. But yeah, so you'd see all this awful stuff of like, men requesting explicit deep fakes of
men
like
are people too. Okay?
They are, but it was always men, do they? And requesting explicit deep fakes of like their mums, like their sisters, their teachers, and then you're like, fucking hell, and then you go outside and you're looking around like, are you guys doing it? You know, and obviously we know hashtag not all men, but like it was enough to make, like you say, to make you question like, wow, you know, maybe not all men are like posting this stuff or sharing images or requesting them, but like a lot were accessing it, you know. And that's the thing for me, like a lot of like voyeurs in this world.
Grim. And you had to dive into that and then be like, I just need to go look at the ocean.
Literally, I'm like, am I gonna jump in, or am I like gonna, is there another day of me?
Gig wise, because obviously I'm a comic and I chat to people about this, what's the best show you've ever seen? And that can be anything: music, theater, comedy. What's the
Oh, well, it has to be yours, the Glee Club, though.
Thank you very much. I didn't prompt her at all, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I love going to gigs. I mean, like, my favourite gig I've ever been to probably was, this is sad, but I went to One Direction's last stadium tour when they were at the Principality, and I was like, wow.
Was it all the members?
No, it was just a 4, I think. So it was after Zayn had left.
Sure.
So I love that. And then I've gone to see Harry Styles a few times. I'm a big Harry Styles fan. I went to see, do you know who I loved? I went to see Alan Carr in Aberystwyth once, years ago. And I just love Alan. Like, I'm obsessed with the Traitors. Obviously, he's on the Celebrity Traitors at the moment. And he's just so funny like that. And recently I went to see Joanne McNally in the Palladium in
incredible.
London. Yeah, and that was just
Josie
like,
went to see Birmingham. You went, is it? Yeah, outstanding.
just so funny.
Have you met her?
No, I haven't.
So I was very lucky. I got to meet her in Edinburgh just before she was already big online, but I think it was before she was on Taskmaster and stuff. So I met her at the Fringe, and just could not be a cooler person. Like, just so much fun, and
I'm such a fangirl. I've tagged her in a couple of stuff, and she's like my stuff, and I'm like, hey, Joanne, let's be friends.
She's wicked.
Yeah, but no, I mean, you know what's great about Cardiff is that there's just so many gigs to go to. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much to see. Like, whether it's sports, I love going to like watch the football. I'm going to the ice hockey. Like, I go to the rugby sometimes.
I still haven't been to the ice hockey.
You need to go.
I've been in Cardiff for 9 years now, and I've been wanting to go for a very long time.
Yeah,
when's the season? Do we know?
I think it's kind of like happening now, but then I remember going once for my birthday, which is April, so I think it's kind of just all throughout.
Yeah.
But that's good because you can just.
It's not like you gotta wait for it to be icy. It's in a rink, so it's not like we can only play for the 3 days. It's frozen over.
And then obviously, the theatre, the Glee Club's really cool. Like, then you have the huge stadium. So there's so much going on.
Yeah. What they're playing this Saturday? I'm not fucking here. What are you telling me that for? Do they ever play on a Tuesday?
I think they do. I know that there's some times in the week.
Oh, great. I will. That's weirdly like my weekend is like Monday, Tuesday because I'm out working every weekend.
Yeah.
Do you have a structured week because you do so much and so many different things?
Yeah, no, I don't really. I just whatever pops up in this kind of industry, and then the weekend comes and it's like not time to chill because like as soon as I wake up in the morning, my eyes are open. I'm like, I need to write pictures and I need to commission this and I need to write a blog and I need to create content because like you're constantly chasing the next thing, right?
Yeah,
as
and
you'll know.
Self-employment as well. It's kind of crazy. I worry every time I mention I'm self-employed, I just start thinking about my taxes. I'm like, oh shit, when do I have to do that again?
Oh god, I know. I need to reply to my accountant.
With the agency you were with back when you were glamour modeling, how did that finish kind of like on like a decent terms? No? Okay. Do you want to talk about it or no? You can skip over if you like.
It kind of was something. There was. It got to a point where someone emailed my agent pretending they were Playboy. Now I don't know if it was ever Playboy. I'm assuming it wasn't.
It was that guy in the garage.
It probably was literally. But I remember the email address was like, castings at Playboy.com or something like that. And they were like really interested in shooting Jess Davies for the centerfold kind of thing. Like we want to like have a casting with her, whatever. So my agent asked me, and like I never wanted to do like fully nude, but it's Playboy, right? And like back then as well, like I'd grown up watching like the Playmates and it was Mansion and all that. So I was like, well, I'll just do the casting and see. So it was a Skype casting. It was online because obviously like they're based in America, which I thought maybe it was just some weirdo in the basement in America. I don't know. But I was just told by my agent at the time that it was going to be like a normal casting where you'd go to like nuts and stuff, where you usually sometimes would be in lingerie or maybe you have to show your boobs. But that was it. So I was like, okay, standard. But then the Skype happened. And I remember it was late at night. I was still at uni at the time. So I was living in my uni house. And it was late at night, about 11 at night. And this person comes on. But they didn't ever put their camera on. They were just typing. But my camera had to be on. And it started off pretty normal. And then they asked me to take my clothes and they asked me to take my underwear off. And I was like, not doing that. And then they were really forceful. And they were like, girls would die for this like opportunity. And I was like, crying on camera. I mean, God forbid someone screen recorded it, because I was like, you're trying to exploit young women, like this is disgusting kind of thing. Because they were like, you could come over here and be like someone's girlfriend, and I was like, no, like it's not for me. So I like was like, you're disgusting, and kind of like cut the feed. And they were like, please come on, please come on. So then I said to my agent, like, so like it was awful, like it was really traumatic, I was really upset. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And they said, oh, well, I never got a name, so I don't know who to complain. So they didn't even ask like for a name of this person. But to obviously show that they were kind of like actively trying to complain, they forwarded the email chain to me, but it included all the emails. And and this person, whoever it was, had said, oh, we're going to need to see her like fully naked and full spread. And my agent said, yeah, that's fine. But obviously didn't tell me that. So kind of when I got on the call, I didn't know any of that. And yeah, so after that, it was kind of like, I was like, yeah, I'm off.
That's that email chain thing that makes my blood boil. And also, like, it's so funny when people kind of drop themselves in it in that way.
Yeah.
I asked about the agent, funnily enough, because I had an agent previously, not my current agent, who I had a kind of dispute with for a corporate event. And I complained to the agent. I said, look, this is not what I was told and everything like that. and the agent was like, oh yeah, this is terrible, and all this kind of stuff. And I put forward a few more things, and they accidentally forwarded me the email that they were sending to the corporate client, and it was my agent complaining about me to the corporate agent, like with like eye roll emojis and stuff like that.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck you. I'm leaving the agency. Like, this is breach of contract in some way.
Yeah, it's wild. So
it sounds like you got a lucky escape though, and you found that out.
Yeah, absolutely, I think. And yeah, it just made me kind of wake up a lot to that world. And that was kind of like when I was pretty much done with the glam modeling side of it as well, because it very much for me, like, I always wanted to be a model from a young age, but like it wasn't like I dreamt of being on page 3. I just wanted to be like a model. Then as the world developed and my body developed, and I realized like that wasn't going to be possible for me, like I was never going to be Kate Moss. So like when I got offered to sign with an agency, I was like, yeah, great. So, you know, I went along and I liked doing the shoots, but then every time it came to like taking your clothes off, I'd be a bit like, I remember like I had to turn around, like eye roll, be like, okay, like it was just part of the job. And
Sure.
it, you know, and I know a lot of girls and women enjoy that, and that's, you know, not taking anything from that, but for me that was like the part that I liked the least, but it just was part and parcel of me being in that industry. So it wasn't something that I was like clinging on to, and I was like, I really want to like reach the heights of being in Playboy and stuff. So like after that kind of thing happened, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much done with this.
When you've done interviews for television or radio and anything like that, have there been any sort of screeching halt moments where maybe it's been live and you've panicked or something?
No, I don't think so.
You've been
actually,
pretty composed
yeah.
about it. I imagine if you've been sort of like in some dude's garage or on some Skype call you didn't want, then that kind of you don't get phased by them.
No, I mean, yeah, some dude's garage, or like you'd go to these places like you were saying before, you get the megabus and you go down there and then the shoot's in this hotel room, and then you walk into this hotel room to shoot with a photographer you've never known, and it's like a 5 foot by 5 foot tiny hotel room that they've hired, and then you've just got to take your clothes
I've
off.
stayed there.
And then they take photos of you, who's a stranger, and then you leave. Like, you know, it's very weird situations that you're in from a young age.
Terrifying. It does
Yeah,
sound
so,
terrifying,
and you know, I'm lucky that, you know, nothing overly bad did happen to me in that industry. So, you know, so when it comes to live TV, I feel like, yeah, I'm all right.
Have you come across any? Because the problem with a lot of television as well is they're constantly trying to pit people against each other. So they kind of drop you into a situation just with somebody being contrarian or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Have they surprised you with any guests you kind of weren't expecting?
So I did the Jeremy Vine show.
Okay.
So I was on the panel for Jeremy Vine show quite a few times, and that is a political debate show where they put you with the most extreme, right? And as someone who's a left-leaning liberal woman who believes people should be treated equally, which is kind of apparently controversial these days.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. They always put me with like the GB News old right-wingers. And it got to a point like sometimes you just feel like, why are we even debating this? Like, oh, what do you think about transgender people? Should they be allowed? Yeah, I do think people should have human rights to be able to exist how they want to exist. Like, why are we even talking about this on national TV? So, you know, sometimes it would just be kind of eye-rolly in that sense. Like, and you think you're pitted up against someone, and you kind of look at them and think, do you really believe this?
Yeah.
Or is it all for the, like, because you're just playing this caricature online or on TV to get booked for stuff? And I don't know what's worse. Like, is it worse that you generally are pretty fucking racist and transphobic, or that you're just pretending to be for a job? Like,
yeah, are you just desperately trying to stay relevant in some way and keep on screens? Yeah. And in order to do that, you have to be like, okay, yeah, I'll go up against that talking point and do the complain about the opposite.
Yeah.
It blows my mind sometimes. They always used to ask me, anytime I'd get like a phone call, oh, are you happy to appear on this stuff? It was always about like immigration or migration or like Brexit. I got asked to do so many interviews and stuff about Brexit. I was like, why? What do you think my opinion is going to be on Brexit? Like, genuinely, like, is anything that's going to come out of my mouth going to be a surprise? I will joke about it. Like, I will make jokes, but I'm like, this is, it's so dumb. Like, to pit two people we know. I find a lot of political shows on television to be that way. Yeah,
definitely these days. I feel like they've gone so much more extreme because it's all about, like, the clicks. It's all about the views, and the most outrageous opinions and controversial opinions will get views online, but it's like, at what expense? Like, you're literally selling out the most vulnerable people for clicks, and it's like, how do we get out of this? It feels like a Black Mirror episode.
They're just looking for that 30-second clip they can put out of somebody arguing with one another person, which brings me to my next question. Do you think women should be allowed to vote?
No.
That's the clip. We're done. Wrap. Cut it. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you've done an array of stuff that is very, exceptional. To break into something so scary as the manosphere and write about that and sort of is it scary to kind of be in that sort of
Yeah, it is scary because obviously you've seen the worst of these men and like you kind of know what they're capable of, right? I mean, we see cases online or in the news where, you know, what exists online crosses over into the offline world, you know, where it's violence online, you know, for example, the awful case in France of Giselle Pellicotte, like all their men were found in an online forum, yet then they, you know, went in person to sexually assault her. So, you know, like, you know, it doesn't just exist online. And I do think sometimes, like, as a woman speaking about this, like, you do put yourself in a vulnerable position where, like, you're walking down the street and you're kind of looking like, fuck, like, have they found me? Like, you know, things like that. So, like, it is something that makes me question sometimes, but also then, you know, speaking of like what makes me proud, it's like I've spoken to so many survivors in these spaces who have experienced this awful abuse or misogyny, whether it's offline or online, and like people coming to me and be like, you speaking about this has made me realize that I'm, you know, this happened to me and I'd never accepted it before, or it's helped me, you know, want to go to the police or raise awareness and all of that. So that for me always makes it worth it, you know, because it's like my digital footprint is fucked. So like I've already fucked it. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to make that content and post about it, whereas other people, like, they've been thrust into this world because of that, you know, because they've unfortunately had awful shit happen to them. Like, that doesn't mean that they want to now become like the face of it. And I think like that's the thing with a lot of, say, like documentaries and current affairs. It's like they want to like put victim stories at the forefront, and it's kind of like glamorizing like people's trauma, right? Like, we want you to tell us that awful thing that happened to you that's really traumatic, because then we might, you know, might make a film about it, and then it might and it's like a lot of people don't want to do that. They're just normal people who've literally had awful shit happen to them. So that's why I'm like, well, I'm happy to post about it and put myself out there, because like I'm already, you know, spread wide across the internet. So yeah, that's probably like the most difficult part about my job, but also like what I find the most like pride in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an incredible achievement, and also not just the people who've had maybe aspects of it happen to them, but the people who haven't had it happen to them. I would have said yet, but because of the stuff you've spoken about and things, you've maybe helped people navigate away from that as well. So, I mean, is it you were involved in getting something passed, a bill in the UK as well, right?
Yes, I've been working with the government quite a lot down in Westminster, which is pretty wild to think. And
Did
so
you get the megabus down to Victoria? And then
you know what? I remember once I got the megabus. The last time I got the megabus about 3 years ago, and it was fucking awful. And I actually wrote in my notes app, I am never gonna get this again, because I was like, never again. So no, I got the train that time, and. So I helped lobby the government to make explicit deepfakes a crime here in the UK, which is pretty cool. I've helped lobby the government for cyber flashings to make the sending of unsolicited dick pics a crime. Still talking
That's
to them.
That's illegal now? Jose, clear my hard drive.
And only if you send them, you know, without consent. If someone's asked for them.
Fair. Yeah, totally.
I'm sure loads of people ask for them.
I do get asked, but predominantly by men. That is one of the things you get online as well. Is men are, I think, more forthcoming asking for that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not going to go into my DMs to discuss that currently. Yeah, it's been a great chat, fascinating stuff. The book is, I can't wait to dive more into the book as well. I've made a start on it. But the paperback's coming out, right?
Yes, so in February, the paperback is coming out, which is exciting. So we're doing all the PR again. It's already available hardback and Audible, which I narrate as well, which is, you know.
You've done the reading for it?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Where did you record it?
Down in Newport.
Cobra, really?
Yeah, Cobra Studios, shout out. They were so lovely, because I'd never met them before. And then the day of, they were like, here's your contact. And it happened to be a man. I was like, oh my God, I have to go and read out this book to a man. But he was so nice. So yeah, Audible as well and Kindle. So yeah, go check it out.
I haven't done any book readings yet. I've done a bit of voice work, but I mean, reading your whole, how long does that process take? Reading
about
your
3.5 days. Yeah. And I hadn't read out like loud since school. You know, like, you're like, I'll do this. So like, you know, the microphone's so close to you like this, and every 3 minutes I'd have to be like, I just need to like swallow. Like, can we just like pause? Because your mouth gets like, yeah. So it was an experience. It was fun though. But
at least you know that you know every word in the book. There's nothing coming up where because you've written it. You're like, how the fuck do you pronounce that? Because that would be my biggest fear.
Yeah.
That's great. So it's available on audiobook as well. Do you have any? We can put it in after and everything. But do you have any more kind of like book events or signings and stuff coming up?
No, I don't think so. Not that I can think off the top of my head.
If you let us know, I can put like plugs and stuff in the intro when the episode goes out. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or plug?
Just hashtag follow me on Instagram and TikTok, _ Jess Davies.
Great stuff. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Jess Davies. Make sure you give her a follow on social media. Go get her book. It's available from all good book retailers. It's called Nobody Wants to See Your Dick. It's very sharply written, very insightful, highly recommended. I'm pretty wiped out. I've done 8 gigs in 3 days, including my solo show Nada in Wrexham Comedy Festival. I've played Gloss Up, Saddleworth, Leeds, Halifax twice, including their comedy festival. Where else? Burnley, and I forget where else. But not too wiped out to chat to my very good friend, a comedian from up north, Nina Gilligan, who is going to be our guest next week. So I'll catch you then. Gracias.